So Holiday Inn was released in 1942 and is a well-respected classic as well as not a well-respected classic. How does that make any sense? Well, we'll get into it slowly and surely. This stars Fred Astaire, who is most notably known for his absolutely infamous dancing, and Bing Crosby, who is infamously known for his amazing vocal talents. Both of them have been in a lot of classic films before, and this one basically invented the White Christmas classic Christmas song that you hear pretty much everywhere. It started in this film. There was a film that followed this one called White Christmas, which has no continuation on this one. It's a completely different film, but it has Fred Astaire and Bing Crosby in it, and doesn't play off as a sequel basically, but is its own thing, but is still hailed as a classic just like this one is, although this one came out before that one. What we have going on here is basically Fred Astaire and Bing Crosby. Their names are Ted and Jim. They work at, or they perform at a New York musical theater kind of thing, and they perform yearly there. Jim is about to retire and go off to marry this woman named Lila, who both of them perform with. But just before his retirement and them setting off to get married, Lila admits that she's in love with Ted and wants to stay behind with Ted in this New York dance studio, whatever. And Jim plays it off exceptionally cool. Like, there's no modern day, drama going on. This is like, okay, well, I'm glad you're happy. See you later. I'll go off on my merry way. And good luck to the both of you. And I'm just like, that's taking it rather well, in my opinion. But regardless, he goes off to his inn that his farm, whatever, in somewhere in Connecticut, Midland, Connecticut, or something like that. And his plan was to build this inn called the Holiday Inn, and his plan was to build this inn where people stay and see live performances, but it's only open 15 days of the year on each and every holiday. So Easter, Valentine's Day, all the President's birthday, Independence Day, whatnot, Christmas, New Year's, obviously. Which is a weird idea, having an inn only open a certain amount of days a year and a very small amount of days a year for that. But throughout the first year, he's building this, and then it flashes forward to the next Christmas, because the film opened up on either Christmas Eve or New Year's Day, one of them. So he has this thing built, and it opens up, and then he finds himself back in New York, where Ted stayed behind performing at this New York dance hall for that year. And Jim meets this woman named Linda, and kind of boasts himself that this inn is much bigger than it actually is, and he's like selling himself because he's meeting this really pretty girl. Calls her in to audition, not really expecting that she'll show up, but she happens to, and she does fly herself down to this place in Connecticut, and she realizes that this Holiday Inn is not as glamorous as he made it out to be. And then that's followed with Ted showing up to this inn as well, because Ted had a falling out with his new, you could call, marriage with Lila, and Lila left him, and he shows up to the inn, he gets wasted. He ends up dancing with Linda, but the next day he has a huge-ass hangover, and he doesn't remember any of it. And then this starts to play off with a lot of, not tension, but really, really silly attempts at humor, and they are funny, but like, there's a plot where Jim is trying to hide Linda from Ted, and Ted doesn't remember this girl. All he remembers is seeing her back, basically. So he doesn't remember her face at all, and Jim is playing all these stupid games with trying to hide Linda from him, because he's afraid that Ted is going to steal Linda from him now, just like he did with Lila. A lot of the humor is really outdated in that way, but the scores and the banter are really well done. This film's classic for all of its set pieces and musical numbers and musical scores. It's definitely infamous. There is, for one thing in particular, there's one musical number that's completely done in blackface, and if that kind of stuff offends you, be warned, it's in here. It's like a 5-minute segment. And it's done so awkwardly and so cringeworthy. I mean, Bing Crosby and the lady who plays in here playing Linda, Marjorie Reynolds, they're both in blackface. Everybody performing in the musical instruments, the orchestra, all in blackface, and it just looks horrible. It looks horrendous. I mean, it doesn't offend me per se, but it will a lot of people, that's for sure. And this film takes a heavy negative on it with a lot of audiences because of that. And it's just done so stupidly. Like, it does not age well. That's the problem. And that's the thing with the humor, too, aside from that really controversial part of the movie. Just banters and types of humor and situations don't translate well to, you know, decades later as they were looked at in this film. They're still classic and they're still enjoyable, and it's a product of its time and in a good way. But plot points don't really make a lot of sense when you're watching them in, you know, the 21st century kind of thing. There is one amazing performance by Fred Astaire, though, in one of the musical numbers for Independence Day, where he does a solo dance involving firecrackers, and he's lighting firecrackers while he's tap dancing. And Fred Astaire's the man, in my opinion. Fred Astaire, between him and Bing Crosby, I'm on Fred Astaire's side of things. The way this guy dances, there's never really been a famous tap dancer or dancer in general from this era and time that has been more celebrated than Fred Astaire. And his performance, his firework performance or firecracker performance in this film is his best performance. Like, I like him in, my favorite Fred Astaire film is Top Hat, and then this might be a close second. This is, I mean, this is better than Swing Time in my opinion, and Swing Time is hailed for being one of his best. But yeah, the guy can move in the way he tap dances, and like I said, he's very original in that because there's nobody else. Like, what other famous tap dancer is there? I've never heard of one other than Fred Astaire. And not that you even see tap dancing, period, after the 40s or maybe 50s. But yeah, it's classic in its own way. The three stars in it, three main stars, are phenomenal together. Another thing that is odd about this film is Fred Astaire's character, because he always plays such a positive, lighthearted guy that you want to get along with, but in this one he plays such a slimy dude. He plays like this player kind of type, but not in the likable way. He's just the guy who just swipes in and just takes his friends' girlfriends and is nonchalant about it. Even the way he brushes it off, he's like, "Oh well, you know, it's actually better that you found out now, you know, because you wouldn't want to make Lila unhappy when he's taking Lila from Jim, and Jim's all cool about it for some reason." But Fred Astaire doesn't play the typical character that Fred Astaire usually plays, and it can get a little awkward with the performances. But like I said, it's that era and that time that I'm talking about. I did review this film on Facebook before I got on YouTube. I was reviewing a lot of films on Facebook, especially for holidays. So I have touched on this film before, but this is the first time on YouTube. I love it. I would still watch it, stream it somewhere. I gave it a 4 out of 5 because it holds up as a classic. Just know that there's things in there, like the one I mentioned, that probably will offend a lot of people, and a lot of things that don't translate as well as they did in 1942 to 2021 or 2022 as we're heading into. But overall, great film, great Christmas film, and great film for any holidays, because this film, like I said, plays in all the holidays, including ones that are not even that celebrated anymore, like Washington's birthday and Abraham's birthday, and things like that. Like, and even when they name name holidays the way they are, like Valentine's Day, they'll call it Saint Valentine's Day. So you know, a lot of lingo that's directly related to the early 40s. It's a cool watch, though. It's like a time capsule, you know what I mean? It's a really, really good film. I recommend buying it, but if you haven't seen it before, watch it first. Kind of get a grasp on it and see if it's, you know, up your alley and something that you would typically enjoy if it's your first time watch. Or if you are a blind buyer like I enjoy doing, you find it cheap somewhere, go buy it on Blu-ray. It's worth your time for sure. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews, and I'll be back with more. There's plenty on the channel to check out. If you're interested, stay tuned. I'll be back with more. It's December, lots of Christmas coming, obviously, And until next review, have a good one, take care, and cheers.